عندنا حريق كبير في مرفأ بيروت. لا عطرة يا عطرة البناية يا عطرة. انفجار نووي.
And welcome back, brothers and sisters, to God is Walking on Water channel. I'm sure many of you are well aware what has just occurred in Lebanon, and this is very serious. We received very shocking images yesterday on the 4th of August 2020, shocking images coming from Beirut, the capital of Lebanon. An explosion took place in the port of Beirut. And I'm going to share with you very revealing information that will show you that what has just occurred there is not an accident, but is clearly an attack. Now, who exactly attacked Beirut? Well, we're going to get in depth on all of the evidence, the footages of bombs, nuclear bombs, specifically nuclear bombs, atomic bombs that have been tested throughout the past few centuries, and how we can make a comparison to the footage, the various footages that we've received from Beirut. And you will see the similarities are strikingly similar and almost identical. I would even say it is almost an exact copy paste of footages that we've seen back, in the 50s. Nuclear test, the atomic test, which they had in Nevada, for the tests as well that they had in the Pacific. So you will see the similarities are just identical, and there are the kilotons of explosive vary for nuclears. People, when they tend to think about nuclear bombs, and I'm no expert, but just it takes just a minimum of time to research it, and you will come to interesting interviews of scientists in America that were present during the testings in the Trinity site in Nevada. They will tell you that there are various, if you will, there are explosions that can vary. When you are dealing with nuclears and atomic bombs, thermonuclear bombs, they're all by definition nuclear bombs, atomic bombs. They're pretty much the same thing. And what's interesting is they will show you in the footage that I'm going to be sharing you. They're going to explain the differences of these bombs that can explode in a radius, in a limited radius, depending on the location, the geographic location. If it explodes in the sea, if it explodes in solid dense areas, and that will obviously amplify the explosion. So it's very interesting because not all nuclear bombs explosions have the same effect. They're all by definition, huge explosions, but the radius will vary depending on the kilotons of explosion. So I think you're going to find that this is very interesting because when we will compare the footage, you will see we're not talking about an accident that deals with fireworks. I mean, that explanation is poor. Those are poor explanations, very pathetic arguments being used by the mainstream media. And you will see that this was clearly an attack. I will even quote President Trump. In his own words, Donald Trump said that he believes that this was an attack after having consulted with his generals. So you will see that with the evidence that we've got, we're going to be going through, and I will be sharing with you, you will see that what has occurred in Beirut is, in fact, an attack. And they are the same people that run this world. So this is in line with prophecy. This is the proportions are messianic. Many that were witnessed this even described it as not something that they've never seen in their lifetime, and many of them were actually elders that experienced the Lebanon war with Israel, the Israel-Lebanon war, which they experienced in Israel, and they experienced terrorist attacks. They experienced, war, explosions, you name it. But many of these elders, in their own words, they actually told the press that this is something that they've never seen before, and this is just 20 more times more powerful than all the terrorist attacks that they've had. And this is so important because it also it also deals with passages that we find in Joel chapter 2. I think it's specifically verse 30, if I'm not mistaken, where we are told, or 38. We'll go through those scriptures, but basically God says that in the last days he will provide signs, and these signs will take forms such as pillars of cloud. And I really believe these pillars of cloud or these columns of smoke, it depends on the translations, but practically the same message, that in the last days there's going to be these pillars of smoke that will appear before the return of Jesus Christ, and it's heralding the messianic age, and it's also a warning to this generation. So just like Sodom and Gomorrah, these will be warnings that only the elect will be able to understand, will be able to decipher, because the day of the Lord is exactly what we could describe as a atomic nuclear event, except that Jesus Christ is the one that will be all of this energy will emanate from Jesus Christ, Yahweh himself. Yeshua will destroy the firmament. The scripture tells us that the heavens will recede like a scroll, and his feet will touch the Mount of Olives. Mount of Olives will actually split. And this is going to be it's going to be so horrific for the ungodly that it's going to literally look like an explosion, but an explosion that on levels and it's proportions, apocalyptic proportions that man has never experienced. And all of these atomic bombs will look like child's play in comparison, compared to the day of the Lord. So I'm going to share you some of these information, these interesting findings, and I'm sure this is going to spark um, a thought, an intellectual reaction on your part, as you will see that this argument of fireworks doesn't stand. It falls on its own head. The argument of fireworks, of an accident, just it fails all of these tests that we're going to go through, in their own scientists, in the own words of the scientists, when we're comparing the radius, how many miles can it span, how many the cloud smoke, the mushroom cloud, also the way, the explosion, how you can witness it visibly, how the explosion expands, is very similar and ident. I could actually say identical to what we see with nuclear explosions. All of these tests that have occurred in the Pacific, in the Nevada desert, they are identical. And the way the smoke expands, the way the energy, that energy, of these particles, these nuclear particles, how they expand, and creates this white dense smoke. You will see it's so identical. So again, I'm not an expert, I'm not a scientist, but God has given us enough wisdom as human beings, yes, but especially as believers in His Word, in His infallible Word. He has given us discernment. He's given us intelligence in order to discern the signs of the times, and also to see that what we're witnessing right now is prophecy unfolding. Um, you know, this COVID 19, this COVID 19 world, with all of these measures, these these tyrannical measures that are being enforced on us, is exactly what the Bible says, when the hearts of many will wax cold in the last days. And we are seeing these signs in reference to prophets such as Joel taking place. And that's what occurred in Beirut. I really believe that's what happened. So I'm going to first of all, I'm going to quote. I'm going to show you some interesting quotes from Trump, and what he has to say, in relation to what had occurred in Beirut. And you will see that he actually doesn't lean towards a narrative that it's an accident. It's a accident, that is a chemical accident, a industrial catastrophe, of the likes such as Chernobyl. He really used the word. He used those words that it was ultimately an attack, and it was an explosion, but not an accidental explosion. So I'm going to start with that first evidence, and you will see actually, using critical thinking, you will find out that there was a purpose in attacking that specific port in Beirut. It's strategic. That was a strategic maneuver of of the powers that be. It was a very strategic maneuver. Now, probably this video is going to be removed by YouTube because at some point I am going to have to reveal that, with all the evidence that I'm going to provide, and using critical thinking, you will find out that there's only one group of people that can profit, that is most eligible, and is essentially responsible for this attack, because no one else can profit, can exploit this situation that Lebanon is going through at the moment, with the economy that is sinking, this crisis, this crisis, COVID-19 situation that the whole world is facing, that has repercussions on the economy, and this has been happening through, let's say probably, for the past 5 years. It has been it's been going downhill ever since. So you will see that this was a strategic move in order to target that specific area, and you will see why. So first of all, I'm going to show you this, and then we'll do a comparison of the explosions and how they fit in the category of nuclear. Um, what was that? It was nuclear, um, atomic explosions. So, going to share this first, and I'm probably going to do a screen share on the. I'm going to do a screen share. So, just bear with me. Hang on. So, here we have it. Great. So, so I don't know if you can see my screen right now. Hopefully you can. So, hang on. Just bear with me, brothers and sisters. Just bear with me. Hang on. So just bear with me. Just need to pull this this article. So this is it. Okay, so this is Trump, and this is an article courtesy from RT. Oh, and we got people in the chat. Good morning, Cindy. Good morning. Rory Wilson Barat. Absolutely true. It's an atomic explosion. Same reaction as the Nevada bomb test films. Identical, exact same nuclear explosion. Dirty bomb, small enough to fit in a briefcase. I agree. I totally agree, brother. And if I can just ask you, if you want to add anything to what is being said, what I am sharing, please add anything, any expertise, anything that you personally can share in order, to being used in this critical thinking. And I'm going to share this article. So if you've got any questions, please please share. So just bear with me. There we go. So this is it. This is the article, and look what Trump has said. It says here, a bomb of some kind. Trump says U.S. military officials think deadly Beirut blast was an attack. This was posted 7 hours ago. And we look at this. Look at this explosion. This is a mushroom cloud. Okay, any one of you knows, if anyone of you knows what a mushroom looks like, this is literally what a mushroom cloud looks like. Any atomic nuclear explosions will always have the same trait. This is a visible trait you cannot deny. When you're dealing with this amount of this smoke, this amount of cloud that is being lifted in the air, and it looks like a column. It looks like a pillar of smoke. So again, I'm going to share you that passage in Joel chapter 2. The scripture tells us in Joel chapter 2, verse 30. I'm going to read from the English Standard Version. It says here, and I will show wonders in the heavens. This is exactly what you're seeing, brothers and sisters. This is in the heavens, okay? The cloud is rising to the heavens. So we're in the actually in the sky, okay? We are heavens on the earth, blood and fire and columns of smoke. Some translations, like the King James Bible, says pillars of smoke. If we go to the Hebrew, you'll find this is very, very interesting. If we go to the Hebrew, using the Strong's Concordance, if we go to the root of the word, we will find that this is actually rendered pillars. And the Strong's Concordance is Strong's Concordance 8490. The word is timara. Timara, from palm-like column. Wouldn't you say, brothers and sisters, this is a palm-like column? I would strongly suggest that what we are witnessing here is exactly what is being described in Scripture. This is a strong-like column. I mean, compare this cloud to this building, okay? And this is enormous. Okay, this is enormous. So I truly believe that this is what the scriptures is talking about. We're going to see more and more of these explosions, these atomic bombs that are going to be strategically released in specific places that are ultimately a hindrance to the New World Order. I truly believe so. Or Timara, from the same Tamar, a column, a cloud, pillar. Okay, very, very interesting. So let's keep reading. President Trump has claimed the blast, okay, that rocked Beirut was likely an attack. Likely, okay, this is critical thinking. The mainstream media will have you believe, oh yeah, this is just some random accident, because they want you to have you believe in randomness. They want you to have you believe in chance, okay, in coincidence. There are no coincidences, because they are adhering to a worldview that is godless, okay, atheism, all right, communism, Darwinism. They are all ideologies without God. Okay, there is absolutely no spirituality. So ultimately, what they're saying is life is, just happens by coincidence, and that's why when you will get stories that where there is clearly a conspiracy, they will brush it away, and the easiest way of brushing it away unfortunately to the goats, to the sheeple. Don't like to use too much the word sheeple, because we are referred to it as sheep. We are the sheep of Christ. But to the majority of people, they will just brush away any narrative that is leaning on a conspiracy. They will just brand it as a theory, conspiracy theory, and that ultimately is just chance. It's just coincidence. Okay, it's just a coincidence that there were fireworks just lying around for I don't know how many years, lying in a factory, and no one had the decency to clear it away, and it doesn't fit with the visible carnage, the visible horror that we just witnessed through all the footages that were sent from Beirut. It doesn't fit, because this is what an atomic bomb looks like. Fireworks cannot reproduce this amount of chaos. It just doesn't make any sense. It's just the same applies to the face mask. We weren't born with face masks. We were born in the image of God, and we do not have this guarantee that the masks will protect us. Why? Because it's hazardous, not only to our person, to our dignity, but to our health. And when you're breathing your own carbon, it's carbon dioxide, ultimately, you're breathing in again and again. Uh, it just takes critical thinking to understand that what they've sold us is a big fat lie. We've always had viruses before. We could heal naturally by taking care of our own bodies, eating organic foods, taking care of the temple of God, and not leaning on pharmaceutical companies in order to define us reality, because it's based on fear. It's based on fear mongering, people. It's really based on submitting yourself to an idea that has no common sense. So this applies the same to what we're seeing here. When the mainstream media tells you that this is a coincidence, this is a result of fireworks, this is garbage, this is nonsense. Okay, it's absolutely nonsense. It's rubbish. Let's continue. Citing US military officials who seemed to believe the explosion was not accidental, despite widespread report it was a chemical warehouse accident. Okay. The blast erupted at a port warehouse in the Lebanese capital on Tuesday, killing 70 people and leaving thousands injured. And yet, we don't know exactly how many people have lost their lives. Again, it's merely speculation. We'll see some footage of the aftermath of the explosion. You will see it's horrific. It resembles what happened in Hiroshima. So I mean, you've I'm just going to play this. This is Trump in his own words. Trump in his own words.
Follow up before I ask a coronavirus question on Lebanon. You called this an attack. Are you confident that this was an attack and not an accident?
Well, it would seem like it based on the explosion. I've met with some of our great generals, and they just seemed to feel that it was. This was not a some kind of a manufacturing explosion type of event. This was a seems to be, according to them, they would know better than I would, but they seem to think it was a attack. It was a bomb of some kind. Yeah.
And on coronavirus,
Trump is literally telling people that this was clearly an attack. This was an attack on the people of Lebanon. This was not, some kind of, accident. No, this was literally a an attack on the people of Lebanon. Trump, in his own words, after having consulted his generals, the experts in warfare. So again, you see. So if we continue in this train of with this train of thought of okay, so this is an attack. We've excluded the theory, okay, that it was an accident, a result of an accident. So we've got that cleared out of the way. We're dealing with an attack now. What kind of attack? Is it, just your average bomb? Or are we talking about an atomic nuclear bomb? Well, you will find out that this is very, very interesting. And I'm going to play this, and just bear with me. So this is the scientist, American scientist, showing you what atomic bombs look like. And, it can, the radius can range, it can vary. The range can vary depending on the kilotons of explosive. And it's interesting because not all these mushroom cloud explosions will look the same. They will have the same pattern, but they will have the same shape, but they can vary, and that is depending on how much you how much so. Just bear with me. Hang on. just to get this video. Okay.
Groups witnessed morning chair developed by the Army medium bombers and the made of large areas in the 4 weather stations, 4 weather officials. And in addition, large numbers of technical observers visited the Pacific Group for the military medium bombers. On Red Wing, Dr. Ogle. Castle in 1954 gave us thermonuclear device.
Okay. Okay, really sorry about this, brothers and sisters. Really, really sorry. It seems that I'm having a slight issue of timing. So I just hope that this has been the connection has been not severed. It's brothers and sisters. Okay, the broadcast has crashed. Are you still here? Can you still hear me? Rory? Cindy? Anyone on the chat? If you could just please inform me if you're hearing anything. Hang on. Okay. I don't know if you can hear me loud and clear. If you could just confirm me if you're actually reading me loud and clear. I'm actually checking myself. Just checking to see if we're back online. Okay. Yes, Rory Wilson Barrett. It's no coincidence. Coincidence, yeah, incident. I like that. It's crashed because the powers that be are listening to, to us, not just me, because we're all awakening from our sleep. I was asleep as well. And when Jesus, because that's who I believe in, God manifest in the flesh, when he came in my life, he opened my eyes to the truth. He was the only person that ever said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. So I thank him for opening my eyes to this. Anyways, just quickly want to play that again, that little interesting video where they go in depth about all of these bombs. So just to go back to it, look, this is very similar to what we see in Lebanon, and I'm actually going to show you the nuclear explosion in Lebanon. Here is a nuclear explosion in Lebanon from multiple angles. So just bear with me. Hang on. I'm going to try and get this. So multiple angles. That's the one. Hang on. This is a video from multiple angles. Just need to get that video. Hang on. There we go. So if you look at this footage, you will find just an amazing amount of similarities with what I've just shown you from this footage with these American scientists explaining all the different atomic and nuclear bombs and the effects it has. Now, if you compare with this, so I'm just going to show you this. Just bear with me. Hang on. So if you compare it with this footage, you will find we're actually dealing with very similar effects, if not identical effects. So okay, so this is it from multiple angles. So if you compare it, this is a comparison. Okay. Okay, so I'll need to play this again. I'm very sorry, brothers and sisters. So hang on. Having like a slight issue here. I'm really sorry. For some reason it won't play. Come on. Okay. What I think I'm going to be doing is I'm going to screen share. I think this is the best way I can show this video. So I'm going to take here a couple of examples, and I'm going to do another screen share. And I'm really sorry, I'm having all of these issues. What a coincidence, right? So if I compare it here with this footage that I was actually sharing to you earlier on, this footage of the 50s, you will see the striking similarities. So just bear with me. Please bear with me. And there we go. Great. Excellent. So going to do another screen share. And you will find out we're literally talking about the same thing. We're literally talking about the same thing. So I'm going to put this, I'll put this on this side. There we go. So as you can see, try and put this like that. Okay, as you can see, very sorry, this is the only way I can actually play it. If we play this video, you will see that the way, I'm going to try and put this lowest I can. Now, do you see how that shoots in the air? Now that's a footage that you see, that white bubble effect. We got it from a better angle here. This is from a sort of a better vantage point. Look at that. That mushroom expanding. See, it's like a bubble. It's like a bubble expanding. You have exactly the same effect in this footage, and it's very, very similar. Look at that. It starts like a bubble, a white bubble. Okay, it expands. 13 kilotons. Okay, this is 13 kilotons. Okay, we're talking about 13 kilotons. Okay, this is very, very significant. This is literally the same thing. You compare it. I mean, you re-compare this. It really looks exactly the same. I'm just going to try and expand this in order for you to get a better view. So this is so strikingly similar. Put that there. Just slightly pan this like that. There we go. Perfect. So wouldn't you say, brothers and sisters, that what you're seeing on the top left corner resembles what's down on the right bottom corner? Wouldn't you say this is exactly the same? We're actually witnessing the same thing. Look how it expands, and then compare it with this footage here. Here's another better footage. Now look at that. Look how it rises. You see how it rises? Okay, it's very, this is exactly the same. Like, look how it expands like a bubble. The same for that footage in the 1950s. You got exactly the same thing. Look how it expands. Up in the air, you got the mushroom ring cloud. Okay. Same thing here. You got it from multiple angles here. Okay, look how it expands. Okay, you got take one on the far left, take two on, and take 3 and 4 are strikingly similar. Look at that. That white bubble, like a white cloud expanding. And again, you have exactly the same thing here. Okay, expanding. Look, explosion. Okay, thank you, brother Rory. All the atmospheric ring immediately appears just before explosion. White ring of all the moisture in the air being sucked in. That's exactly, yes, we're witnessing exactly the same thing. So, you know, this is no doubt in my mind that we're actually witnessing the same thing. So you've got all the evidence here. Again, coming back to our old footage here, you have these rings. Look at that. Look how it expands. This is a slightly more significant explosion. But again, 1.9 megatons. 1.9 megatons. So that's huge. But look again, you've got that white bubble. Okay, that white cloud bubble forming in the heavens, and you've got exactly the same thing with what happened in Beirut. Okay, look how it shoots in the air, and then you get the after effect with the white bubble. Look at that, the white bubble. That's a nuclear atomic bomb. So yes, Bobby Cash, true. I'm going to stop this. Very true. It started with what appeared to be an explosion in that factory, but this is what I gather from what is being said. Literally, what they're trying to convey is an accident. That's in their own words. The mainstream media is saying it's an accident due to fireworks, what have you. And we do see some footage where there is sort of this flashes occurring in the factory. I do not deny that. But this is a cover to the real event that takes place in what we see in the second explosion. That cannot be questioned. I mean, that cannot be. You cannot deny that what with what I've just presented, these footages of these big bubbles, these cloud white bubbles, this haze emerging and expanding. You cannot deny that we're actually witnessing the same visual, sighting. This is something that you can see for yourself. You can witness with the footage, and you don't need to be a rocket scientist in order to figure this out. I've just provided you the footage, and you actually see it's the same effect of an atomic bomb and a nuclear bomb. What occurred in Beirut, you see that same white bubble, just expanding in the heavens, and you get the same with these atomic bombs that have been tested, the nuclear bombs that have been tested in the 50s all the way to the 1980s as well in the Pacific. So this is so important because it gives us a better perspective of what we are actually witnessing in a visual sense. They can say whatever they want in the media. They can say whatever they want in the press, in the international press. But what we are actually witnessing, and people that have witnessed this on the ground, they describe it. Eyewitnesses, okay? Not people working in an obscure laboratory, an obscure den, an obscure library where they come up with all of these theories. We're talking about live people on the ground that have actually lost family members, that have lost, people. And they tell you in their own words, this was an apocalyptic vision. Okay, this was like something that they couldn't quantify with the previous wars they had with Israel. They said it was like, I never experienced this in my lifetime. And they all said, it resembled Hiroshima. They all, say, oh, it's atomic. It appeared like a nuclear explosion. That's because it is a nuclear explosion. That's because it's an atomic explosion. That's exactly what happened. And I don't care if people will brand me as a kook, as as an insane person. The reality is the powers that be are trying to spin this narrative in a way that appears as accidental, and that absolutely is nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense. Fireworks cannot cause this amount of chaos. It's just common sense, Fireworks are meant to be meant for entertainment purposes. Okay, yes, it has firepower. All right, we have to understand the Chinese, they're the first ones that invented gunpowder. Okay, I don't deny that fireworks, they have that effect. But we're literally talking here about weapons that have ability to destroy a whole city. Okay, and this is the case with the port. Okay, nuclear bombs, atomic bombs, depending again on the kilotons, the megatons, what you're investing, the explosives you're investing in that compound, in that shell, it will depend. if you want it to be like a controlled demolition, for instance, controlled demolition, you don't want a destruction that will affect the whole city. So that's what we see in 9/11. 9/11 was just the Twin Towers. And again, so many speculate it had a nuclear compound. Okay, this explosion had a nuclear a nuclear device that set it off. So again, when we're dealing with this footage here, it's undeniable it resembles an atomic bomb. It's undeniable. So the first instinct is usually the correct assessment. So this is very, very important. Very important. I want to show you something very interesting. So I showed you the footage. Now we're going to go to the reasons why this happened. This is not an accident, and this article which I'm going to read to you will prove to you this clearly what happened in Beirut is not an accident. So, so we'll go to this article here. Hang on. So here we go. Look what this is just amazing. I mean, this is no conspiracy theory. This is right. This is the reality, folks. There is a war. There is a clear war against those that have not supported this new world order. There is a clear agenda to eliminate any adversary, any potential threat to those that ultimately they're not following the agenda. They're not following the narrative, the new world order narrative. And this is what happened to Beirut. I really believe this is what we're seeing. And this has been perpetrated by the Zionists. This has been perpetrated by the Zionists, by this religious cabal that calls themselves elect of God. Beirut explosion blew up wheat port. Now, wow. Talking about a conspiracy, guys, the port of Beirut is an international hub for commerce, for trade, international trade. And the grain, the silos, the city's silo that has stored all the grain of the nation was totally destroyed. Beirut explosion blew up wheat ports and grain silos in city of hungry children. Let's keep reading. Okay, this was posted yesterday, 5th of August at 2:31 p.m. The Beirut explosion that has killed more than 17 injured thousands that number can exceed, may also worsen the city's hunger crisis. Save the Children says, see, again, this was the death stroke. This was ultimately the death stroke of the Zionists. This was the final death blow in order to destroy the nation of Lebanon. The massive explosion that rocked Lebanon's capital flattened much of the port. Flattened. Do you know any explosion of fireworks that can flatten a whole port? I don't know any fireworks that I know of can flatten a port. Let's continue. And sent a shockwave. Every time we see a shockwave in any explosion, such as what we've just witnessed in Beirut, as significant as what we've seen in Beirut, we're dealing with an atomic bomb. We're dealing with a nuclear bomb that damaged buildings across the city. Hospitals in Beirut are reporting that they were unable to treat further casualties as hundreds of beds immediately filled up following the blast. The death toll is expected to rise, okay, and emergency workers dug through rubble to remove the dead. Okay, so there's rubble. Okay, that is also denotes a shockwave, rubble. So look what it says here. One Australian had been killed and an Australia's embassy had been damaged in the explosion. This is huge. All right. Let's continue. While the focus right now is on the loss of life and the number injured, there are growing concerns about the disaster's effect on food security. What does the Bible say? In the last days, there is going to be a shortage of food. There is going to be famine, right? And that's when the real pestilence will ultimately take place. It's not this fake narrative that we're being instilled with this COVID-19 fear mongering. The real pestilences are going to take place after. But again, like a Russian scientist, like a Russian doctor had said, he actually said that this was a test run. This whole COVID-19 was a test run. It was a test in order to prepare the world for the worst. So ultimately, what is he trying to convey? That it's a hoax. Only last week, Save the Children reported 500,000 children are hungry in Beirut. 500,000 people. As a rising number of Lebanese families lose their income and sink into poverty due to the economic shock of the coronavirus lockdown. That's why people, many small businesses are saying if a second wave should ever occur yet again, we're done for. You know, this will be the final blow. You know, it will send us, it will send us back to the Stone Age. If we have a second lockdown, a second wave, it's going to destroy the nation's economy. Many countries have said this. People that I talk to and deal on a daily basis. You know, they all have not all are of the same opinion, but many understand the signs that the signs of what is going to ultimately be an economic collapse of society. The explosion destroyed. Okay, so ultimately, the coronavirus lockdown was bad enough. It put people out of business, sent many people homeless, jobless, and food shortage had started, and now this explosion is just a death blow for the country. The explosion destroyed the country's largest port. It's the largest port in Lebanon. Okay, this is where all the traffic is essentially essential to the economy, which will now make it harder to import food and other aid, as well as silos that contain the national grain reserve. The Zionists have struck to the heart of Lebanon. Do you understand this? The Zionists have struck a death blow to Lebanon with this atomic bomb. And it's not any place. This was a strategic tactical nuke. Okay, tactical nuke that has been released specifically to destroy the country's economy. Okay, to destroy the food storage of Lebanon. And this will send, heat waves, brothers and sisters. This is going to send hundreds of thousands in hungered. Hundreds of thousands are going to be starving, dying of hunger. It says it very clearly. These silos that have been destroyed after this explosion, it contained the national grain reserve. Very, very clear. Interesting. Rory's just said this. The World Reserve Bank was bankrupt, flat, broke 3 months ago. No coincidence that the economy worldwide is broke. Nobody's doing any business. No cash changing hands. Yes, they're trying to get rid of the cash That is very clear. There's the agenda is a cashless society. That's the beast system we see in Revelation 13. So it's so clear. I totally agree with you, brother Rory. The job of these Kabbalists is ultimately to rid the world of cash, and ultimately have the people to take the mark of the beast, the chip, RFID chips, but now it's nanotechnology. So ultimately, we see this with Ted Ross, right, the head of the World Health Organization. He said that people that do business with cash, they're still doing business with cash. Ultimately, they can be infected because there is a risk of dealing with a physical currency, and that ultimately can ultimately infect people because the money itself can be contaminated. So again, there's an agenda. There's an agenda to get rid of the tangible, the visible, and ultimately render it useless, and everything becomes a sort of a speculative. It becomes ultimately an illusion, and that's what we're seeing. Everything that if you deal with if you're dealing with digital currency, you're ultimately dealing with an illusion. So the goods ultimately are ultimately it's reinterpreted. All the way that we used to do business, we would show natural goods, and hard labor was always supported in providing those natural goods. Today, it's all about numbers that have no no backing. These numbers are just numbers that can print, but it doesn't have any value. There is no value to the currency that they're selling. They're selling the public. It's all based on debt, and we've been sold this culture of debt for the past decades. We've been sold this culture of borrowing, but there is no hard labor. There is no ingenuity. There is no that nothing is being really produced. So that's what essentially they're trying to get rid of, is working at the sweat of one's brow, and that is a law. That is a core value in mankind. Is you have, in order to provide a service, in order to provide goods, in order to provide something that is tangible, you need to work at the sweat of your brow, and that is ultimately what gives it value. But if it's all about just numbers in the void, illusions that are just or ultimately based on speculation, it has no value. So essentially, that's what they're doing. They're destroying the economy. They're destroying. They're essentially starving people to death, and that's what they did. They attacked the Lebanon's largest port, and this is where all the trade, all of commerce is most important, because this is where they can import massively. You can't do that with planes. I know. I work in an airport, and you can only carry a certain amount on a plane. You can only carry a certain amount, and that's why you have all of these cargoes. You have all of these freights. You've got these huge ships that can put just hundreds and hundreds of thousands of tons per day, and you're just exporting that massively to the world. That's what they targeted. They targeted the city's largest port, and Lebanon's, the heart of Lebanon. These silos had the national grain. It was the nation's stock of grain. So if you target that, if you destroy that, you're destroying the country's economy. It's very clear. So let's continue. It continues, and it says, the explosion destroyed the country's largest port. We read that, okay, as well as the silos that contain the national grain reserve. Lebanon imports up to 80% of its food needs. Okay, and this, this we have to take in account. Most of its food is imported. 80% of its food, okay, is not produced but imported. So when you're importing more than you're producing, we have a huge problem. And it's particularly reliant, very problematic. They are reliant on imported soft wheat to make Arabic flatbread. So all the essentially all the country's wheat, okay, flour, essentially what you make bread, right? Give us our daily bread, like the prayer that we say, as Christians. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. When you remove that from the people, this is when chaos ultimately starts, to show its ugly face. Ultimately, when you remove the bread is the basics, right? The manna. When you remove that, this is when starvation, cannibalism, right? Famine. People will lose not only their lives, but they will lose their souls, their minds, their sanity, and this is ultimately what they've done. This was a calculated move of the Zionists to destroy the country's heart. Food, okay? The food storage, those silos. So let's keep going. It says here, about 85% of the country's cereals are stored in the facility. I mean, come on. Look, they even they highlighted it in red. 85% of the country's cereal is stored in these silos, okay? And I'm going to show you how the silos looked like before and how they look like now. I just want to quickly go on. It says even the wheat that survived the blast has been made inedible. You can't even eat it by the explosion, which was probably caused by heaped sack of fertilizer. Well, that's not proven, okay? But they say it's inedible. You can't eat it. Well, I believe it's due to radiation. That's just personal, brothers and sisters. I believe it's because of radiation, okay? That's why they have said that it's they cannot eat, even if there's a remnant of this wheat. It's inedible. You can't consume it. And I'm just going to show you this other article. Interesting, because this is courtesy of this tinnis.net. Here the article is, it says, is Beirut explosion nuclear? Analyzers indicate that the size of the explosion is abnormal. Abnormal. Why? Because it's a nuclear atomic explosion. Okay? You don't need to be a rocket scientist in order to figure this out, guys. I mean, look at this. This is huge. This is exactly like Nagasaki. Okay, I'll take some examples here. Would you say that this looks similar? This picture here of a nuclear explosion looks similar to this picture here? I would say so. I would definitely say so. Especially this white haze, where it expands, like we were discussing earlier on, as a bubble. Let's keep going. And it says in the article again, it says here, according to the videos, okay, circulating on social networking sites that showed the magnitude of the explosion, in addition to the strong air pressure that accompanied the explosion. Now, I am just going to... Yes, it's uneatable. Yes. abnormal. It was heard 150. Yes, exactly. Brother Rory says abnormal. It was heard 150 miles away in Cyprus. So I'm going to show you how they have mapped this and how it fits to what we are we're given of a in what they describe of a nuclear explosion. They actually say that it can this shockwave can range to about several miles, and the shockwave was actually felt more than 3 miles. So we're already in several miles, guys. At this point, we're already talking about an atomic explosion. That's right. It was actually the shockwave was felt even at Cyprus, Rory. It was actually felt. The shockwave was felt. It was not only heard, but it was also felt at Cyprus, on the shores of Cyprus. That already tells you it's a nuclear atomic explosion. What's very interesting, brothers and sisters, is that Brother Rory he just wrote something in the previous comments. He actually stated that atmospheric ring immediately appears just before explosion, and white ring of all the moisture in the air being sucked in. So yes, that's right, and this is exactly what they say. Like you've just stated, immediately before the explosion, there was this white ring that started to appear, and all the moisture of the air is sucked in. This is exactly what they say in this article. In addition to the strong air pressure that accompanied the explosion and the extent of destruction that affected large areas in the city raised doubts about the explosive materials, that it could be unnatural or even nuclear material. Okay. Look what it says here. Very important. Look what the embassy actually warned people to stay indoors. I'm gonna share this. The U.S. embassy in Beirut said the following: there are reports of toxic gas emissions. Okay, toxic, aka nuclear. Okay, radioactive. That's exactly what they're saying. Radioactive. And residents of the area must stay indoors and wear masks. That is what they're basically saying is, you've just been attacked. Put on your masks on, okay, because this is going to be hazardous for your health because it's nuclear. So, just want to keep going. If we go here in the definition of a thermonuclear bomb, you will find the following. High temperatures are required for the reaction that are produced by the detonation of an atomic bomb. That's exactly what we saw in the footage. It also says, this is very important. Just want to get to the nitty gritty of this article. It says here, just bear with me. Okay. Hang on. Okay, so a thermonuclear explosion produces blast, light, heat, and varying amounts of fallout. Okay, the concussive force of the blast itself takes the form of a shock wave. That's exactly what we witnessed in the footage that I just presented. A shock wave that radiates from the point of the explosion at supersonic speed, and many thought it was, jets. Okay, fighter jets that were actually flying. Many have thought it were fighter jets because they had this supersonic. They felt as it was a supersonic wave. So again, consistent with the narrative, and that can destroy any building with a radius of several miles. That's exactly what we've seen. Okay, the intense white light of the explosion can cause permanent blindness to people gazing at it from a distance of dozens of miles. Okay, it can cause blindness. And what's very interesting is, look at this is what I've just described you in this in courtesy of the Encyclopedia Britannica on thermonuclear bomb. Okay, the way they've just described this in this encyclopedia, you actually see the following. Just want to show this again. Yet again, I want to show this. Just bear with me. So this is exactly what we see. So look at that. The white light. Okay, this is a bright cloud. All that air being sucked in. Okay. We can take it from another angle. Look at that. The way it rises in the sky. And you have got the mushroom cloud. That ring. That white, very significant ring. Okay, so that's the thing. I'm just going to respond to Creasy XX. That's the whole point of depopulation. Why would they evacuate people if we're being ruled by fanatics that have no regard for life? They're willing to release a bomb in your own city if you do not comply with the protocols, if you do not comply with the guidelines. They're willing to release a bomb, and they don't care because they don't see you as a human. They see you as subhuman. Okay, this is an ideology of the rabbis, an ideology that is talked about in the Talmud. I'm going to share some interesting excerpts. I know I'm taking a risk in what I'm saying, but it's worth the risk because the truth needs to be spread. The truth needs to be expressed in these last days. So I don't care what you think, but there are many people that are convinced that this is a nuclear atomic bomb. So regardless of what you believe, I don't care. What I am witnessing, and this is me being convinced, I know that these fanatics, they don't have any regard for life. They see us as animals, goyim, okay, as subhuman. We're slaves. We're lower than animals. So they don't regard. Do you think that they're going to ultimately, they're going to give warnings? They're going to, the people that are running our respective governments, they've got our best interest. We've been infiltrated long time ago. So I just wanted to say that. Interesting because you have to know the first country that actually said we're not responsible. The very first country that said we're not responsible. Guess who's the first country that was the first to say we're here to help? Israel. Israel was the first country that ultimately said we're here to help you. If you need any humanitarian efforts, if you need anything, we're here for you. But we're not responsible. And there is an expression in French. I don't know if you have the same expression in English, but basically it's the first chicken that not crows, but the first chicken that sings is the first one that has laid the egg. Okay, the first one that sings, quack, 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 is talking and saying, no, we didn't do it, nothing to worry, is the first person who actually did it. And that's the truth. That's the truth. This was an attack by the Zionists, an attack on Lebanon. You can be sure about it. I'm going to show you something, another interesting thing. Very interesting. So here, atomic bomb. going to read this. So just bear with me. Hang on. Nuclear. Let's go to the nuclear article. Yeah, that's the one. Great. So if we go to this article, we find the following. Nuclear weapon device designed to release energy in an explosive manner as a result of nuclear fission. Okay. What's important is you need to bear in mind the devastation we see here. We're going to play some videos. This is Hiroshima. Okay. 1945. This is Hiroshima. Okay. This is the devastation of Hiroshima. Now, many people say to you, if it's a nuclear explosion, everything has to be flattened. You know, no buildings is left standing. That's wrong. In nuclear explosions, there have been cases where buildings have been left standing, depending on how it was built. Okay, they're left standing, but they're clearly in the bad shape. In the aftermath of the explosion, they're left and rendered useless. Okay, religious war, yes. Bellum sacrum, Latin for Latin, holy war. We're actually in the holy war. But our battle is not carnal. Okay, it's not of flesh and blood. Look at all the trees; they've all been burnt here, and this was clearly a hydrogen nuclear bomb that was dropped in Hiroshima. So that it varies with the bomb that was set off in Beirut. Still atomic, still nuclear, but remember there are different types of nuclear bombs. There are some that are for specific that target specific areas. Okay, that will not expand and destroy the whole city, but a specific geographic, not geographic, but a specific geolocalized position. So it's not all bombs will have the same effect. Sometimes it's geolocalized to just a specific area. For instance, the Beirut port. That was ultimately the target, and not the whole of Beirut. Interesting, because there was a bank that was actually not touched, and that bank was a Rothschild bank, interestingly enough. So here in this picture of Hiroshima, you can see there are buildings standing in the background, okay? But most of the buildings here have been flattened, destroyed, left in a state of rubble. And it's exactly what we see here with the case of Beirut. You will see very, very similar. I'm going to play this. Just bear with me. So this is the aftermath of the explosion. Just hang on. So just bear with me. This is the aftermath of the explosion. Try and get this, the aftermath. Just bear with me. Hang on. The devastation resembles exactly what happened to Hiroshima in 1945. So, just going to play this. Just hang on. Just bear with me, as I'll just going to grab this footage. Okay. So this is it. Can you see that what we're witnessing here is it exactly what we witnessed with Hiroshima? If you compare both, okay, I'll put that again on the screen. We're actually seeing the same thing. I compare again the picture here of Hiroshima. Okay. Really resembles what we're seeing. So again, just need to show this. This is Hiroshima. Okay, clearly we can see this is very similar. Look, it's all flattened, but there are buildings still standing. Okay, this is very, very similar, almost identical to what we see with Beirut. Okay, look at that, flattened. Literally flattened. This again, you have to take into account the amount of kilotons, megatons. Okay, so very, very clear. Very, very clear. Look at that. If you're looking at this, this is the silo. What you're witnessing here on the left, it's almost at the left corner, but you can see it. It's really looks like. Sorry, brothers and sisters, we're back on again. Had another issue. Hope you're reading me loud and clear. Very sorry about all of these issues. Okay, so very interesting. Okay, the silo. You clearly see it was rubble. Ultimately, was rubble in that footage. And if you go to the Beirut silos port, this is how it looks like. Going to quickly show this. Going to screen share this. There we go. So, I actually want to get this. So this is how Hiroshima looked like in 1945, and I just want to show you. So this is the Beirut silo grain that was destroyed in Beirut. So as you can see, it looked like this before. This is huge. Okay, this is made of concrete, and they were actually planning to expand it. So you compare it. This, okay, look at that in that picture. Look, it's literally destroyed. I mean, this is serious, guys. This is serious. Just want to get to that picture. Look at that. In this article, it says the remaining silos stood at bit less than a month, but said the destroyed silos had only held 15,000 tons of grain at the time, much less than the capacity which one official put at 120,000 tons. Okay, doesn't really change anything, because depending from which article you get, it can vary. But this is the heart of the country's the hearts of the country's food storage for in what relates to grains and wheat. So it's very, very important. Just want to quickly get. Funnily enough, I can't get this picture, but you can see it. It's pretty clear. All of this, the silo has been reduced. Almost looks like ash, right? Sand, rubble, and yet we see in the old pictures here. This is what it looked like before. Okay, this is how it looked like before. Completely destroyed. Here are more pictures of the silos. Have it here. Look at that. That's just huge. Huge building. In comparison, look at the people on the ground. Okay, so it's a huge edifice. Okay, and this is where they kept all the flour, the wheat. This is here you have another picture from a bird's eye view. Okay, so all of that was destroyed with the ports nearby and the ships. And this is what's left. This is what's left. Okay, so clearly we're talking about an atomic bomb. Clearly talking about an atomic bomb, in my humble opinion. Anyways, look at Hiroshima. You compare. Clearly, we're talking about an atomic bomb. Want to show you something very interesting, and I'm going to have to screen share this. So this is a book called Jewish Utopia, and is so important because it will give us a better insight to what exactly happened. In the following page 64 and 65, we actually have the following, and this is pretty much a summary of what we've been experiencing these past few months, from end 2019 to this month of August 2020. This is a pretty good summary, a good summary of what we've been experiencing so far. So, just want to screen share this, and this is the people we're dealing with, and Jesus confronted the same people. Going to share this. Okay, so we have here, if anyone has any questions, now's the time to just share some of, or even share some of your thoughts. Now's the time for any questions, or if you want to share your thoughts. So just want to keep going. So here we go. So we have here a very interesting excerpt, very, very significant, and what is being said here is so significant in relation to what we just witnessed in Beirut. And guides, so they will have, okay, the local police, but they will quickly replace any police chief or mayor who tries to exercise his constitutional duty to his people. Look at this. This is exactly what they did during the lockdown. They will shut down schools, churches, libraries, and courts, because their whole aim is to destroy the local government and state government. That's exactly what we've just witnessed in Beirut. This was an attack, okay? The rock which so long has made commu-Zionist takeover impossible. I have a video on my YouTube channel, Commu-Zionist Agenda 2020. If you haven't checked it yet, please go check it out when you have time. And the political figurehead arriving in each community will get his orders as to whom to liquidate from the local secret agent of the Anti-Defamation League of the B'nai B'rith. This Zionist machine, by its own bulletin, has agents in 2,000 American cities. And this was already back in the 60s, I believe. Or this was back in the 40s. All Americans who recognize the revolution for what it is and who dare to protest the destruction of local government and the imposition of a federal police dictatorship, these unrighteous citizens will just disappear in the smoke and hysteria. Okay, so again, this is exactly, I believe, what we've seen in Beirut. These unrighteous citizens, in their eyes, will disappear in the smoke and hysteria. And what are we seeing? Hysteria with this COVID-19 hoax. Hysteria. Interesting, because this is a document that was actually written back in the 40s, and it fits perfectly with what we're seeing take place now with this what we had seen in the lockdown, the COVID-19 lockdown, with the schools, the churches, the libraries, and the social distancing. You cannot conduct business. You cannot go to church, or go to school, or go to any libraries in the same way you would go before this COVID-19 had taken place. So this is very significant in this part here, and I want to share this to you. It says here in this very important, this is very important. It says here, however, it seems that the plan now, so it says, however, it seems that the plan now is to use the Federal Civil Defense Agency instead of the military government units. And that's exactly the case. They use our own governments in order to subjugate us. So they are working behind the scenes. So complete are the plans for seizure of power that they were leaked to the public via a magazine in 1955. This was leaked, brothers and sisters. The July 1st, 1955 issue of U.S. News and World Report reported the plan, which would annihilate. It would annihilate. This was reported plan that would annihilate the Constitution of the United States, and possibly, and for all time, the individual freedom we have known, such as the mandatory masks, the social distancing, this Orwellian COVID-19 world we're living in. And it continues, a military dictatorship, swift and complete, very key here, very key to what had happened in Beirut. This is very, very key. Look what it says. It says, a military dictatorship, swift and complete, will take hold at the very moment of any big atomic attack. Do you see how this is so clear? So clear. And that's why I believe this was an atomic nuclear attack on the port of Beirut. They are saying in this magazine that was published in 1955, 1st of July, a military dictatorship, swift and complete, hang on, swift and complete, will take hold, or at the very moment of any big atomic attack. And it says here on American cities. So this was very short. I quickly wanted to share this, as it's so important, brothers and sisters, to be aware of who are ultimately your adversaries in these last days. Sister Goodpenny, good to see you. I feel like they're trying to wipe out adults again. This has happened so many times, especially in America. I highly recommend Belly of the Beast by the Foul Brothers. It's $14, but well worth it. Show a truth. So yes, thank you for that information, sister. So I just wanted to share you all of these facts. You have to weigh these facts very carefully. I could have gone more in depth on the nuclear effects. I could have gone in all of that, but I don't think we'll have time. What I will share is two important things, and we have it here. Just bear with me. Hang on. There we go. There we have it. No, that's not the one. Hang on. Just trying.
Buildings, mangled buildings.
Yeah, mangled buildings. Exactly. It's literally what we got to see. Mangled buildings. Just bear with me. Hang on. So, just don't want to lose my train of thought. There we go. So this, you see this, the way this bubble, this white bubble, all of this heat wave and energy resembles exactly what we just witnessed. And this has to be to be mentioned again. Albert Einstein was the father of the atomic bomb. Okay, Albert Einstein. We have to remember this. Albert Einstein, as is written in the Wikipedia, in this Wikipedia page, we see clearly that Albert Einstein had origins Ashkenazi. He was Ashkenazi Jew. Apparently, he was non-observant, and he even attended a Catholic elementary school. So that has to be taken into account. I am going to quickly share this. Going to quickly share this. This is the map here of the Greater Israel, and in what I've just explained is no surprise that we have maps such as these where we clearly see that Lebanon is figuring in the Greater Israel. Very, very clear. So, anyways, brothers and sisters, I'm going to love you and leave you. We have all the evidence here that this was clearly an attack. This was clearly an attack by the Zionists, and we're no longer ignorant to what has been perpetrated throughout the centuries. We're no longer ignorant. So, hope we could have went in depth. Probably I'll do a follow-up if they're not yet removed this video. If ever they remove this video, I'm actually going to post it on BitChute, where you can find it. We just pray that they won't remove this, because this is right in your face. This act is out there in the open. This is a threat, clearly a threat. Anyone not in line with this COVID-19, this beast system, this Zionist messianic kingdom, okay, that they're trying to install. Anyone that is not in subjection to this new world order is going to face the consequence of either having an atomic bomb released on their port, their city, or through other means. The message is very, very clear. So may Jesus Christ bless you all. Remember, Jesus Christ is coming. I've left 2 videos that show interesting visions of how the day of the Lord will look like. It's not comparable, but it basically is a short summary of what we're awaiting. And the scripture says that the very same people that have perpetrated this heinous act will face the consequences.